coming to you live from Igreja de Nosa Senhora das Dores here in Macau for a change. You know, never quite been able to come down from here, but you know what? Always time for a first. I think that's how the saying goes. I am, of course, your host, Yaku of Yakuzaku, and we are here today with the 71st Grand Platypus Open, and joining me today is El Rodillo de Namasis que divide los mares rojos himself, Light_VIP. How we doing, Light?
Oh, what's up, Yaku? Yes, we are back. We are back with a rare treat. Usually we don't have this matchup. Not just this matchup, mate. The king returns. The king of the sea is back.
He does. Waiting for us waiting for the winner of this series, funnily enough.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really liking how the stars aligned here as we kick things off on Outside LE. We're in the top right-hand corner map, spawning all the way in the top right-hand corner. We have the pink Terran player coming down from the land of Singapore. Going to be representing the Brorios. He is DarKVoiD.
And spawning in the bottom left-hand corner of Outside LE, we have the Aussie, the Australian Terran. He is red, representing Team Opus V. It is RunaMoK.
And I see a couple of people here in chat. I think we all ought to redeem a couple of thanks groups here in the chat for such a magnificent seating we're getting tonight. It's lining up so well. We're starting off with a TvT, which we basically never see in GPO. I think the last one was, I want to say Seether versus Azure back in early 2020. That's the last one I can remember.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure we had it this year at some point, but we
didn't cast it.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we had a TvT here. We just don't have that many Terrans, you know. We have like Azure every now and then, DarKVoiD every now and then, Hero, but Hero has been inactive for the entire year, it seems. So
yeah, a couple of months now at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So we're missing out.
And of course, as you were mentioning, immediately after this, we get to a matchup that's not as much of a rarity, but still a very good treat to have in the GPO. A TvZ specifically against Miyomika.
Oh yeah. And what's exciting about that is the last time that, at least if you recall, the last player who defeated Miyomika outside of GoGoJoin and Off Race was DarKVoiD in the TvZ.
Indeed, it was. I remember that like it was yesterday. A fairly close match, all things considered. DarKVoiD had some very, very impressive pushes, but that was a completely different matchup. Very interested to see what he has for TvT.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to get too ahead of ourselves, right? You know, that's if he does face Miyomika, but here he is in this TvT. And this is a RunaMoK we have not seen in GPO before. This is a RunaMoK who has been practicing hard for ANZ Champs. Of course, his run in ANZ Champs is over, but, you know, he's in arguably better form than he has been for a very long time. So yeah, I'm curious to see how he performs, not just in this matchup, but in this tournament. Oh,
I'd absolutely agree with you on that one. A lot of matches I was watching in ANZ Champs where, honestly, I didn't think RunaMoK was going to win. Comes out from behind, even 2-0s a couple of people.
Yeah.
So his run may have been cut short a little bit. Barely didn't make it out of that group stage, but as you said, this is a brand new RunaMoK, some of the best form he's ever been, and he's free to play in all these weeklies now that he doesn't have to hide his builds anymore.
Yeah, I would always say that like RunaMoK versus Probe was very close. It was very Clown Fiesta-y, but a great treat. RunaMoK even versus Pez went all the way to the ace match as well, which was very impressive.
Yeah, talk about the most fitting way to kick off a tournament, RunaMoK versus Probe.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, we are, of course, slowly getting into this game. We did see RunaMoK being a little bit aggressive with a couple of Reapers earlier, but the Reapers were dealt with. They only got a couple of probes, SCV kills, 2 SCVs in total, so not the biggest of deals, as he's slowly backing up here, and now picking up with his jump and headed out across the map.
Nice and classic. Bit of a bit early Doom drop. I don't believe DarKVoiD saw that medevac, maybe just barely with the edge of that Reaper, but yeah, we're gonna have to keep our eyes on that main base of DarKVoiD to see how he's able to prepare. There's a Cyclone getting in position.
It is in position. Bear in mind that, again, you can siege up this tank on the low ground. It will have range on the racks as well, but he's trying to go straight into the main base. Oh, and the Cyclone!
Cyclone! Locks on the medevac a little too late. Everything unloads, and that Cyclone is in a lot of trouble. The medevac even survives.
Oh my god, that it does. Medevac has to be careful not to be picked off by that Cyclone as it does get locked on again, but just barely gets out of range. The tank
will get trapped here. Body blocked from getting picked up right at the end, and the medevac will go down. This drop does 0 damage thanks to all these Marines, but I will say RunaMoK got some pretty good scouting on just the amount of Marines out here.
I
guess.
I'm shocked by how little damage that dealt. I was like, I'm also kind of curious as to what the plan was for RunaMoK. He's like, I made it in.
I didn't think I'd get this far.
It's like his panic struck him. He's like, what do I do? What do I do? And he like tried to go for the mineral line. He didn't siege up. He didn't have a lot of support either. So yeah, that was a pretty expensive loss, to be honest.
It really was. It delays RunaMoK a lot. He's completely lost map control for the rest of this game. Or until, for the rest of the opening anyway, for the rest of the mid-game.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, thankfully he does have a Raven, and this is pretty necessary. Going for this Raven harass, delaying some of the economy here at the natural base. Like, he needs to accomplish something with his opener just because of how much it set him back, losing that medevac and that tank.
Yeah, to be fair, he is ahead in workers by quite a bit, and in fact, he's actually going to get that 3rd CC quicker, it seems.
Yeah,
he is.
The 3rd CC is about to finish up. Meanwhile, yeah, it's still halfway done for DarKVoiD.
Yeah, so definitely a bit of an inefficient opening coming up from RunaMoK, but it's been able to make it work somehow. That's a good macro.
I mean, he's pretty on point when it comes to his defensive setup. He doesn't have a lot of Marines. He lost a lot of Marines earlier, and he has very little buffer for his tanks, so that could be a little bit worrisome. As, RunaMoK gets
very good disable. Decent disable from RunaMoK as well. But DarKVoiD is winning the interference matrix fight. That tank behind there for DarKVoiD just a little bit out of range. And RunaMoK still able to hold with not too many losses, just a tank.
Yeah, exactly. Like, honestly, that was a pretty solid defense there by RunaMoK. But of course, what DarKVoiD is doing is he's delaying the 3rd base, right? His own 3rd was so much later than RunaMoK's. RunaMoK's is already in orbital, but yes, be careful. This is Raven. The SCVs.
Yeah, definitely a little bit careless here. I cannot believe RunaMoK is actually trying to land and mine from the 3rd base. The absolute disrespect, and now RunaMoK has to lift back up and like, I cannot hold this.
Yeah, he does have to respect this push from DarKVoiD. So again, DarKVoiD dealing a lot of damage, delaying the CC, getting some worker kills, killing a Raven, but again, a little bit needless there by RunaMoK. And sure, DarKVoiD, his 3rd is a little bit late, but yeah, it's, very, very good job so far in like closing that gap.
Yeah. It was made out the SCV is over. As you said, the orbital is a little bit delayed, but what is that? Maybe 1-2 mules that he's not quite going to be using at most. They're fairly close when it comes to the economy, so just looking at the tech right now, DarKVoiD is getting his upgrades a little quicker. Well, his barracks upgrades anyway.
Yeah, that they are, as DarKVoiD already has Stim, right? He's working on combat shields, so he does have that advantage. But it doesn't matter too much in the end when it comes to the bio upgrades. Sometimes it does, definitely in TvT.
Yeah, having to just set 1 additional piece of armor can be the difference between losing every single one of your Marines to a tank volley and losing only half of your Marines to a tank volley. The numbers always add up. DarKVoiD with the air superiority with the Ravens and the Vikings. RunaMoK could lose another Raven. Not quite, but he will lose a decent amount of tanks.
Yeah, one tank does go down. I mean, to be fair, RunaMoK still has a lot of energy with these Ravens, so he can still dive back in. And DarKVoiD kind of blew a lot of his load there. I say that he's still that's still a lot of energy. Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh, for a second I thought you had 4 Ravens, but nope, that was the orbital.
Oh boy. Meanwhile, RunaMoK is getting ready to dive in. Once again, Stim is done this time. He should be hitting with combat shields. There's a bit of a timing here, I guess. 2-2 is on. Oh my god. Yeah, 2-2 is on the way.
Oh. It is. I do very much like that RunaMoK isn't neglecting that armor upgrade. DarKVoiD delaying it a little bit. Could be a bit of a mistake. Could be intentional. Ravens start to come in. They're in a decent position to disable these tanks. They've even thrown in a couple of auto turrets. But RunaMoK does not want to risk it. Those Ravens have very low on health.
Oh god, exactly. They have to be so careful here. Meanwhile, RunaMoK, he is forced back for now. With this, RunaMoK, there you go. We do have a 4th CC on location. DarKVoiD also working on his own 4th, but in his main base. So that's a ways to fly. Now he's diving in about the Ravens.
Move command. But thankfully did get that anti-armor missile on top of those tanks and a ton of this bio. Everything is starting to go down for DarKVoiD. Only one disable lands on one of RunaMoK's tanks. And there's not enough of a buffer here for DarKVoiD, or is there? RunaMoK starting to lose his own Marines, but the reinforcements come in and everything on the ground goes down for our pink Terran player.
Oh my god, land the Vikings, puppy, land them. Oh, he's gonna end up losing them. Meanwhile, it looks like DarKVoiD has just barely enough to take out one more tank, and RunaMoK only has one left. With this poultry force, I don't think RunaMoK can really press the issue, but he already dealt the damage he needed to. 15 workers went down.
15 workers, even being threatened once again, and this is a very good sort of, I don't remember the term I'm thinking of. I'm just gonna say good anchor point for RunaMoK here to reinforce by. Reinforcement point, there we go.
Yeah, rally point even.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's when you right-click your production buildings, yeah.
Exactly. Meanwhile, DarKVoiD is trying to catch a couple of reinforcements. He will get a tank for free.
Oh, and that is absolutely key here for DarKVoiD. Let's delay that as much as possible. He knows he has a marine advantage for now. He needs to make sure that RunaMoK is never able to inch forward with his tanks. Now he's going around on top of these tanks, but a little bit miscalculated. He did not count on those marines at the back. RunaMoK's trying to go for a bit of a drop.
Yeah, I mean, DarKVoiD, he thought that these tanks were a little bit more exposed than they actually were, and as a result, now he lost all his marines. He's spread thin. Now more workers are going down. Very nice angle here with this drop from RunaMoK.
It absolutely is. Those Marines were actually in range of the tanks, but they were way too distracted by the main forces of RunaMoK. The Raven goes down, and I believe that's every single Raven for DarKVoiD. No interference matrix, no auto turrets, no energy helping abilities.
Exactly.
But maybe sieging up a second too late here. RunaMoK is.
I mean, it looks like DarKVoiD will clean this up finally, but the damage has been done. These Vikings are still getting more value, getting a couple of medevacs here and there. The drop is still alive. Only a couple of Marines, but again, like, DarKVoiD is on the back foot. The one thing going for him is that, thankfully, because he already landed his 4th base, like, he can still reproduce those SCVs. Like, he's not out of it completely, but he needs to make something happen.
Yeah, he can still reproduce those SCVs, mine from that 4th base. He's mining from that 4th base the entire time, but RunaMoK's also been doing that with more workers and plenty more mule energy.
Well, exactly.
A very big risk going for Liberators when you don't quite have the air superiority.
I was about to say the same thing, right? Like, he doesn't have any Vikings, so one Liberator goes down for free. The second one is going to go down as well. One more shot, but it looks like just barely DarKVoiD will keep it alive.
Yeah, now RunaMoK's out of Vikings. I don't see him reproducing them.
Yeah.
For the Liberators again wouldn't be too out there.
Yeah, RunaMoK, he did switch into medevacs, but you know what that means? That means that if DarKVoiD does switch into Liberators, then RunaMoK can just go for a massive doom drop into the main base, and there are no Vikings to stop him.
Yeah, very much of a tricky situation here. A very tricky choice when it comes to producing our starport. In a TvT, GG is called, and RunaMoK overwhelms DarKVoiD, taking game number 1.
GG, a very intense game number 1 there. Oh god, I mean, there was some very nice moves from both players. You don't want to be a Raven in this TvT, as all the Ravens did end up going down.
Yeah. Normally you see Ravens after the end of battles and stuff, but here you see them before the battles and not during or after.
But regardless, that was a pretty intense game number 1. RunaMoK does lead the series, but, you know, that was pretty close between them, right? DarKVoiD, you can definitely bring it back.
He absolutely can, especially on a map like Blackburn. It's a lot of... If you want to try being a little tricky here, there's a lot he can do. Let's circle back a little bit. I really like how you described that as intense. That was definitely a very active TvT we saw.
Yeah.
Not so much when it comes to, I'm going to go and drop and find like kinks in your armor and stuff and try to do that, but still, a lot of stuff was happening. It felt like one big long fight
Mm-hmm.
that never ended.
Pretty
Once,
much.
RunaMoK was able to establish that foothold.
Yeah, things popped off quick there. Jesus Christ. Oh god. And we'll see if the same is gonna happen here on one of the smaller maps in the map pool.
That we shall, as we start things off here in the bottom left-hand corner map, starting all the way in the bottom left-hand corner. We have the pink Terran player coming down from the land of Singapore. He is going to representing his brothers from Brisbane, his one brother from Brisbane, and also all the other ones from around the area. The Brorios, Clan Brorios, he is DarKVoiD.
You say around the area, I'm pretty sure Oreo is the only Australian player on that like clan.
The other two are nameless, and nameless DarKVoiD and somebody else I don't quite remember.
I want to say Nefarious is one as well. I could be wrong. But
no, I think he is. Actually,
spawning in the bottom right-hand corner of Blackburn LE, we have the Australian Terran. He's up 1-0 in this best of 3 series. Can he take it all the way and then meet RunaMoK in the next round? We have representing Opus V, it is RunaMoK.
and so far, completely standard.
Yeah. Honestly, I'm excited to be here, right? We have changed things for GPO. We changed things a couple of weeks ago where now players do have vetoes available to them. And when that happened, I was a little bit concerned. I was like, yo, does that mean that we're not going to see Blackburn or Beckett Industries anymore? And I'm glad, at least in this first series, that we're able to see it.
Yeah, always nice to have some variety going on here. I have to say, I imagine a player like RunaMoK definitely taking Blackburn as much as possible. But of course, for best of 3s, it's a little trickier. You get a lot more vetoes than not.
Yeah. We've seen RunaMoK go for many a gold base on Blackburn. not always to his advantage.
But he has to go for it, you know.
Yeah.
If his opponent vetoes Blackburn for him, they're actually doing him a favor. Because Vio ain't vetoing it.
It's very true. Oh god. Also before we forget, also thank you so much, Phoenix, in the chat for resubscribing 21 months in a row. Thank you so much, Phoenix. Del Dutch got himself.
It's like 2 years, dude.
That is almost 2 years, yeah.
Quack.
Quack. I lost count. Quack.
Quack? That's 5.
Quack.
10. That's 16.
Quack. Quack.
That's 20. That's 21.
Thank you so much, Phoenix. We appreciate the support. Hope you enjoy your quacks. Hope you enjoy your, I was about to say like your Discord channel access and all that stuff. Man, he is a duckling at this point. It happened. Yeah.
He wasn't an unofficial duckling for so long. You just straight up forgot the announcement where it's like, yes, he will officially join the Ducklings.
Exactly. That happened this year. It's crazy.
Like for 2 years at this point, he was just like a unofficial consultant ? If that was his title.
It was an honorary duckling.
Now we finally got him. Yeah, now we finally got him on the payroll.
Exactly. Shout out to
the payroll anyway.
Yeah, shout out to Phoenix. He's the one who actually set up the SE2 logos mod for GPO.
Yeah. I don't remember that.
Beautiful.
Definitely a lot of technical stuff. I believe also the intro and whatnot. But everything's about to go down. DarKVoiD was trying to go for a bit of a juke drop earlier on, but RunaMoK is looking to put a stop to that. Actually completely avoiding this fight, and I do not blame him whatsoever. Does not favor his chances against 2 tanks and that many Marines. Very good use of the KD8 charges, keeping them at bay and taking out as many SCBs as he can.
Exactly. Just barely, and it looks like he wants to dive back in. And DarKVoiD, he's already moving out across the map with this drop, so he doesn't have that much at home to defend. So maybe RunaMoK can start snowballing here as he takes down the Marines. Mate,
That
mate, the
will
tank!
fight this tank!
Okay, opts not to go for it. Where did these guys come from?
They walked all the way. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, that cyclone was already out. Decent use of the SCVs to buffer these tanks backed into a corner. Even if they get lifted up, there's still enough anti-air to pose a credible threat here for DarKVoiD. GG is called, and RunaMoK takes that series 2-0. We don't get to see TvT too often, and honestly, so every now and then when we get it, we kind of dread that it's going to go into a very long thing, but in these two games, non-stop action. What a matchup.
GG, well played. I like how the majority of that game we spent quacking at each other, which was... I apologize, but my god, I mean, I understand that RunaMoK, that DarKVoiD, his original plan was to go for that Doom drop across the map, but it was delayed by the drop of RunaMoK, and I guess he thought that he had dealt with it. He's like, all right, let's go, let's send it across the map. If he had just stayed at home, he would have been able to defend, but I guess at the same time, like, he's committed, he's on one base, like, he wanted to execute his original strategy, and yeah, that just worked so well for RunaMoK.
Yeah, honestly, he did do a decent amount of damage in that defense. He took out the Hellions, and he did a lot of... He got that medevac down to a very, very low health. I think he was counting on maybe having a couple of Marines in case that medevac came back in, but yeah, returned at a bit of an odd angle. Enough survived for RunaMoK that DarKVoiD was just basically out of economy. It was an entire Hail Mary play when he did decide to boost across the map through those slow zones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I just can't believe that those Marines just showed up at the end there. It was crazy.
They walked. 2 Marines, like.
Yeah, they walked.
Oh yeah.
But what a game-winning move there for RunaMoK. Congratulations. He will be going up against MioMicah in the next round, but unfortunately MioMicah isn't available yet. He does have 15 minutes to show up, so we will definitely give him that time, but because of that we will hop into another series. We're not just going to be waiting here for 15 minutes. Hopefully he will show up. Hopefully it isn't a walkover there. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.